Hello, SVUE students. It is the week of May 17th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now it's time for the Avid Spartan Pledge. I am an avid Spartan, always prepared for the day, very respectful to all that come my way. Intentionally, safe, and determined to exceed, I am an avid Spartan, and today I will succeed. Today we have Mr. Cundiff and a few students showing us how to use an avid strategy called carousel. Take it away.
Hi, welcome to our video on how to do carousel. So I have 4 students here, not from my original homeroom or anything, but I appreciate them. We've done this practice a few times here. So Dio's with us, Brenley, Lanaya, and Presence. So I appreciate them giving some time. And they're going to demonstrate how to do carousel from a student perspective. All right, so first thing is, as a teacher, I'm going to go over this slide and make sure you know what you're supposed to be doing. If you are going to be using red, you would have that assigned to you if you're in breakout room 1. And you could always come back to the slide if you have forgotten which color you're supposed to use, or especially when you're getting moving, you have to stay writing in the same color so we know it's your work. And we can compare what you have. You may have an idea that we never thought of, and we want to be able to go back and give you credit and maybe even dig deeper. So this slide tells you that. It also shows you the progression. If you are red, you start with slide 4. If you are dark blue, you start with slide 5, and on down. You can read that yourself. When you finish, you don't finish at slide 8 necessarily. If you say started at slide 6, you have to finish all slides. We're going to start with slide 4 today, and we will finish at slide 8. So we will do those things. There are roles that we will split into that we've already predetermined that you can see in the next couple slides. And the instructions are, make sure you use up all your time, okay? Use your color, use up all your time. If you're like, we have run out of everything, don't advance until time is called, okay? So as a student, remember that you want to use up as much time as you can, and you may be cut off or you may finish early. Either way, you stay on that slide and then you move when the teacher says rotate or whatever the keyword. Maybe it's banana, I don't know. So whatever the keyword is, that's what you do. So we're going to start right here with some science questions. Like I said, we've divided roles up, and maybe you can figure those roles out as we go through our video. All right, so I'm going to give it up to the activities director, and Dio will take it away from here.
Use your own words to explain the science term interaction. Give one example of an interaction. So what do we think the science term interaction means?
It's like when two things are like involved, like a bee and a flower. The bee goes to the flower, connect nectar, and then they make honey out of the nectar.
So we got the explanation of what a science term interaction is and an example of an interaction.
And the hard thing is, on this, while Brenley's typing, it is hard to keep up typing compared to if we were doing this in class, in person, where you can actually write this down as they're speaking. So excellent. All right, our time is up. Good timing. So time up, we're going to rotate.
And now we move on to the next slide. Give an example of an interaction that involves a non-living thing. Explain the benefits of the interaction. So what's an example of an interaction that doesn't involve a living thing?
Maybe you in your bed. A bed is not a living thing, but you use it to sleep, and to sleep it gives you energy.
So that's an example of a non-living interaction. And now we would move on to the next slide. Use your own words to explain the science term organisms. Provide examples of organisms. So what do we think an organism is?
Organisms are a living thing.
Okay, so an organism is a living thing. So what's an example of an organism?
A bee.
A bee.
A person.
And then after the person writes down our example and the term of an organism, now we move on to the next slide. What can biologists learn about organisms by looking at interactions?
Maybe the way it's like living, like what's surrounding it. Like,
so it's surroundings?
Yeah, it's surroundings.
Yeah, that's a good start. What can you tell me some more about, as a biologist, maybe something with surroundings? What about that? Some things that maybe we should do? You know, what else would biologists want to do with those surroundings or recommend we should do?
Maybe they would try and learn about how those how the surroundings involve the interaction of the organism.
Yeah, especially the surroundings. Do they provide a food source, right? Shelter. So those things, very good. That's exactly what we're looking for.
All right, so since we are done on this slide, we'll move on to the last slide. Do you think organisms have different kinds of interactions at different times of the year? Why or why not? What are factors that could affect interactions? So what do we think?
Yes, because the weather can affect it. Like
Well, I think,
sometimes,
yes,
because sometimes
the weather
the
could be
snow,
a factor.
sometimes the
And
snow
snow.
kills the flower. So, because it's cold.
All right, that is the last slide, right? So here we go. All right, they finished up the last slide, and they started with slide 1. So because they started with slide 1, this is where we take over. We're going to kind of go back and review. We would review, and we would see other answers, obviously. We only have one group working with us right now. But if you were in class, you would have other answers. So I'm going to have the presidents run us back to slide 4. And this is what the teacher would do. And the teacher would then go and show you everybody's answer. So now you can go back and you can look at each answer that other students put. This one is a little different than our math one that we tried to make because this one here would have a bunch of different answers on it. And we can learn different information from other people. This also would be a very good review for you. So whenever you have a chance to do carousel, I encourage you as students to join, answer, be patient with somebody that may have to be typing. Maybe your teacher will allow you all to type. Maybe instead of, that would be part of the rules, but it could get pretty crammed pretty fast. What I like about this group, they did a good job of sharing or leaving enough room, sharing ideas. Each person was doing their role very well. So I really like what they did there. So the teacher then would go over those. So don't leave when you do a carousel unless your teacher said, all right, we're done, we'll review it tomorrow. But now you can go back and read other people's idea, which is kind of the idea of carousel. All right, thank you guys, good job. We're going to cut out of here, and hopefully this is a benefit for you as a student. I appreciate these guys giving extra time because they kept their work up. They didn't even try to get out of work, and they're not getting paid very much for this. So I appreciate all their extra effort. They've been fun to work with, so good job.
There's 2 things that I learned from that tutorial. 1, I need to use carousel in my own classroom. And 2, we have some smart kids at Southview. Thank you, Mr. Kunda, for showing us that little tidbit from Avid. Time for the special day of the week. Talk Like Yoda Day comes on May 21st as an opportunity for die-hard Yoda fans to honor the first day we met the wisest little green guy in the galaxy. Yoda is one of the most memorable movie characters in history. It's not only the wise things that Yoda says, but how he says them, which makes his character such an iconic piece of pop culture. The Master Jedi's unique appearance and mysterious background makes him one of the most interesting characters in the entire Star Wars universe. And with Disney Plus's new hit, Mandalorian, Yoda lovers are growing every day. Why was Yoda afraid of 7? Because 9, 7, 8. Time for a question for you. One of the best ways to show appreciation and respect for people is by learning how to pronounce their names. Southview's receptionist has a name that isn't often pronounced right, but I'm going to show you how to do it. When I'm learning how to pronounce a name, I break it down into smaller sounds that I do know. Awudea is her name, but I break it up into ah, like ah, woo, like woo, day, like day, and Awudea. I encourage you this week to go up to her, showing how well you can pronounce her name. Just say, hello, Miss Awudea. It'll make her day. Now for this week's question. The original Yoda was voiced and puppeted by Frank Oz, who also voiced which famous Muppet characters? Be sure to respond on the Google form on the website. I'm going to leave you with one last word. Veracity. Veracity is a noun which means conformity to the truth or fact, or accuracy. Did you know that veracity has been a part of English since the early 17th century? I can honestly tell you that it derives from the Latin verb verax, or truthful, which in turn comes from the earlier verus, or truth. Veracity is the best policy, as they say. I'm Mr. Hubbard, and I'll see you next week.